I feel if you have 200 crores to buy Jawan, 100 crores to buy Jawan as a platform, can you and many other films, big films now every year, can you not keep 6 crores every year for indie films? अलग अलग देशों से अलग अलग लोगों की अलग आवाज है जो हमारे देश में अब तक ऐसी आवाजें नहीं है ज्यादा, और हैं तो फिर वो दूरदर्शन पे. I don't know, there was something about, there has been in my career till now, something about the feminine spirit which has constantly come into Shweta and my lives, which is, I don't know what to call it. Should I call it the sacred feminine in the world?
Hey everyone, my name is Porish. Welcome back to the Long Live Cinema Show, where I try to host a series of conversations with folks who don't just love the art of storytelling but are also the creative practitioners of this art form in their own ways. And for today's episode, we have Mr. Aditya Kripalani, who is one of the most prominent voices in the world of Indian independent cinema. He's a writer, director, producer, music composer, and also has extensive experience in the world of advertising. His award-winning films Tikli and Laxmi Bomb, Tottaa Pataaka Item Maal, Devi and Hero, and many more are streaming on his YouTube channel. The links for all of them are available in the description. In this conversation, Aditya shared his experience of filmmaking in India and what it takes to produce your films, what all it takes to actually make films in India, because Aditya and Shweta, his partner, actually had to spend their entire savings for making their first feature film, which was Tikli versus Lakshmi Bomb. And we also talk about the importance of art, the importance of emotional motivations behind creating art, and how Indian cinema needs to support more independent films. If you are a budding filmmaker, if you want to know what truly goes behind the camera, this podcast is going to be a gold mine for you. So, without any further delay, sit back, relax, and let's start the show. So, आप फिल्मस्टाग्राम के बारे में बता रहे थे.
I have come late to the party. I know these pages exist, but I think I just never partook in the community sense of community. That's all. So it feels really nice, very nice. And seeing the way Samat was able to put his film out, I felt it was so nice to have that there is a community that filmmakers are able to join hands with when they're putting their work out, especially when it's an independent film. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And I saw your story that you revisited After Sun after your post.
After Sun, I have not seen. This is the first time.
Oh, okay.
There's so many films that I have missed out like that, especially in the last year and a half, 2 years since we moved to Germany, where I've consciously slowed down the pace of everything, because I felt that otherwise film watching, being in Bombay, making films, everything becomes like an addiction that I don't want it to be. I want it to be a part of my life, very, very important part of my life, which I can nurture, but also have time to just do nothing and to read books and to, like I go for a jog by the riverside here, तो वो दृश्य देखना, रिवर के पानी देखना, एक किस्म का पानी, एक रंग का पानी, वो सब चीजें, उसके लिए बॉम्बे में वक्त ही नहीं होता था यार. मतलब क्योंकि आप एक फिल्म खत्म करके दूसरी फिल्म पे भाग रहे हो, आप फिल्म सेट और उसी सर्कल में घूम रहे हो. जबकि आपके बचपन की जो चीजें हैं जिनकी वजह से आप फिल्म मेकर बने हो, वो तो ऐसी नहीं थी. मैं फिल्म परिवार में तो पैदा नहीं हुआ, मैं तो पूना में पैदा हुआ था, जहाँ पे एक नदी थी, जहाँ पे मेरे ग्रैंडफादर मुझे रोज सुबह वॉक करने ले जाते थे, और मैं जो भी दृश्य देखता था और जो भी चीजें सुनता था एज अ किड, उन चीजों से फिर आपकी जिंदगी प्रभावित हो जाती है. जैसे मेरी मदर वर्किंग लेडी थी, ऑब्वियसली दिखी जाता है फिल्मों में. तो 2 महीने की उम्र से शी यूज्ड टू बी इन अ डिफरेंट सिटी. शी वाज इन बॉम्बे एंड आई वाज इन पूना. So I used to stand at the grill of the house and wait for her, looking out of the window. Now, when you see the new film we've done called "मैं actor नहीं हूँ," in that you'll see that this whole thing has come out. You know, the whole standing at the grill and waiting for somebody. So ये सब चीजें, तो I felt कि वो सब डिप्लीट हो रहा है यार, क्योंकि मैं तो बस बम्बई में ही हूँ यार. मैं वही वो कॉफी शॉप टू कॉफी शॉप एंड फिल्म पीपल टू फिल्म पीपल, वही जिंदगी चल रही है. तो उसको थोड़ा स्लो डाउन करने के लिए यहाँ आया हूँ. तो मैं बहुत फिल्में देख नहीं पाता हूँ, मतलब बहुत स्लो हो गया मेरा वो कीपिंग अप नहीं हो रहा है अभी वो. और अच्छी बात है मुझे लगता है. जैसे मैंने आफ्टर सन, अभी इतने लोगों ने कल उस पोस्ट पे लिखा, फिर मैंने देख ली. एक फिल्म अबाउट सुसाइड तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फिल्म है वैसे भी, मतलब एट सम लेवल. ऐसा फिल्म डिप्रेशन एंड सुसाइड विदाउट सेइंग इट, इट्स लाइक एट सम लेवल आई फेल्ट कि वो थप्पड़ ने, जो मैं टोटा पटाखा में करने की कोशिश कर रहा था, थप्पड़ ने उसको इतने सरल तरीके से कर दिया, और सब देख सकते हैं उसको. इतनी अब्रेसिव नहीं है फिल्म।
राइट।
वेरेस करने की कोशिश तो दोनों फिल्म मेकर सिमिलर चीजें ही थे मेरे हिसाब से।
आफ्टर सन का जो लास्ट शॉट है वो, मतलब आई सैट स्टिल फॉर 10 minutes व्हेन आई finished watching that film. It is so powerful. It's just a very, very captivating scene.
दैट्स फेयर मैन।
Yeah. When was the first time when you thought ki I love cinema and I want to do storytelling and get into storytelling, because you've had such a expansive advertising career. So like you had this thing from the very beginning itself, like जब आप, let's say when you were in 12th standard, so तब आया ये thought में दिमाग में, या फिर उसके थोड़ा time बाद when you started working in advertising, then you thought कि यार I should be telling stories.
I also don't know when it started exactly, honestly. I don't know. That's the true honest answer. ऐसे तो मैं
Okay.
बहुत करता हूँ, which will sound nice, but I don't know. क्या पता कब शुरू हुआ। आई नो कि मुझे मैंने एक दो फिल्मों में ईडी का काम किया था। एक फिल्म थी इट्स प्रभात, जो प्रभात सिनेमा के 75 इयर्स कंप्लीशन के ऊपर थी, जिसमें हमने जाके बेबी शकुंतला को और अरुणाताई दामले, जो दामले परिवार की अभी मेट्रियार्क हैं, उनको इंटरव्यू किया था, वो सब चीजें की थी। तो तब लगा था कि अरे ये तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग। उसके पहले एक्टर बनना था, बिकॉज क्या है कि मेरे जब मैं 17 साल का था ना, वी डिडंट नो कि सिनेमा बनाया जाता है, सिनेमा के अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट्स होते हैं, नहीं पता था। और तो मैं तो अपनी मॉम के साथ डीडी पे फिल्में देखता था। तो सलीम लंगड़े में मत रोआ, इन द होल, मतलब शाम बनेगल, गोविंद निलानी की फिल्में, सई परांजपे की फिल्में, ये सब। और बाकी हम थिएटर में जाके, जैसे नसीरुद्दीन शाह साहब की फिल्म थी जलवा, जो पंकज पराशर ने बनाई थी, वो ऐसे वो 10 बार देखी थी मैंने जब मैं बच्चा था। ऐसी चीजें करते थे। मर्द फिल्म थी अमिताभ बच्चन, my partner Shweta and I think that's the film that our childhoods are connected by the most, which we've not sat and watched together even once.
Okay.
So that going to, let's say that FTI का एक फिल्म अप्रिसिएशन कोर्स था, वहां जाने के बाद लगा कि अच्छा फिल्में ऐसी भी होती हैं। नहीं तो लगता था कि फिल्में वही वो जलवा टाइप ही होती है, तो शायद मेरी आवाज नहीं होती, पता नहीं, शायद होती। तो एफटीआई जाके दिखाई दिया कि अच्छा ये अलग अलग देशों से अलग अलग लोगों की अलग आवाज है, जो हमारे देश में अब तक ऐसे ऐसी आवाजें नहीं हैं ज्यादा, और हैं तो फिर वो दूरदर्शन पे हैं, उस किस्म का। वहां से शायद वो डायरेक्शन का शुरू हुआ हो। तब तक तो एक्टर ही बनना था, कोई आइडिया नहीं था। तो ये एडी किया था इस फिल्म में, और फिर उसमें लगा कि, और उस फिल्म में क्योंकि वो कल्चर डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म मेकिंग का उस किस्म का था कि सभी लोग सभी कुछ करेंगे। तो आप एडी हो, लेकिन आप कैमरा की लाइट भी उठा रहे हो, कैमरा भी उठा रहे हो, हर चीज कर रहे हो, ऐसा। तो बड़ा अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस था। माधवी वैद्या करके डायरेक्टर थी तब, ऐसा। और एक हिंदी फिल्म में भी किया था एडी, तो आई थिंक डायरेक्शन का तभी से शुरू हुआ था। और फिर एफटीआई में जाके मैंने राइटिंग पढ़ी थी, क्योंकि मुझे लगा था कि 1 साल का कोर्स है, मैं 22 साल का था। बम्बई के लोगों को जल्दी बहुत होती है हर चीज में। 22 साल तक आपको लगता है कि 23वें साल में आपको शाहरुख खान बनना है, मतलब वो प्रॉब्लम है बॉम्बे में, ऐसा है। यू टू बिकम द मोस्ट पावरफुल, मोस्ट फेमस पर्सन व्हेन यू आर रियली यंग, दैट्स हाउ यू सी इट देन। सो आई थिंक दैट वाज द रीजन कि फिर मैं एफटीआई गया और फिल्म अप्रिसिएशन कोर्स किया था। तो 60, शायद 60 या 70 फिल्में उन्होंने 30 दिन में दिखाई थी। आई थिंक 70 फिल्में उन्होंने 30 दिन में दिखाई थी। कुछ दिनों में तो 3-3 फिल्म देखते थे, कुछ दिनों में 2 फिल्म देखते थे, और डिस्कशन होता था उस पर, और उसको उसकी एनालिसिस होती थी। वो ओडेसा स्टेप सीक्वेंस और वो सब, जो आइजनस्टाइन दिखाई थी तब।
Battleship
और
Potemkin.
हाँ हाँ, स्टैंडर्ड। एंड देन वी वर आस्क्ड टू रीड फिल्म फॉर्म एंड फिल्म सेंस, ये किताब थी ना। ऑफ कोर्स आई वाज रियली यंग, तो आई थिंक बहुत सारी चीजें ना पल्ले पड़ी ना अंदर गई। अब जाके वो किताब आती है तो लगता है कि यार ये तो इतना नया है मेरे लिए, मतलब मैं क्लियरली तब अंदर नहीं गई थी चीज काफी। तो हाँ, तो फिर वो एफटीआई में मैं उस फिल्म एप्रिसिएशन कोर्स करने के बाद मुझे लगा कि एफटीआई में तो जाना चाहिए और वक्त गुजारना चाहिए यहाँ, क्योंकि यहाँ जो लोग बातें कर रहे हैं वो बम्बई में नहीं करते। और पूना में घर तो था ही, मतलब नाना नानी पूना में थे, मासी पूना में थी। तो फिर FTI का फिर वो स्क्रीन राइटिंग का एक कोर्स, 1 साल का कोर्स जो था, मैंने उसके लिए अप्लाई किया था। और स्कूल में मैं एकदम डब्बा था, मतलब मैं 37 to 42% होते थे मेरे। तो आपकी सेल्फ इमेज बहुत ही खराब होती है स्कूल में, बिकॉज आप उस सिस्टम में यू आर नॉट डूइंग वेल, ऐसा। तो इट्स ओनली जब FTI में दाखिला हुआ, और अरे जब रैगिंग हो रही थी तो मुझे पता चला आई स्टूड फर्स्ट, बिकॉज बोलते नहीं आपको ताकि आप चने के झाड़ पे ना चढ़ो,
राइट।
ऐसा। तो आई टोल्ड देम, तू रैगिंग कर लो, बट हाउ डू यू नो आई केम फर्स्ट, मुझे दिखा दो मार्कशीट। तो अंदर ले जाके उन्होंने दिखाया। और बहुत अजीब चीज है, मुझे एक्चुअली आके ना, मेरी एक बैचमेट जो थी उसको जर्मन आती थी। ये बहुत अजीब चीज है। मुझे कभी पता नहीं था कि 42nd ईयर ऑफ माई लाइफ में मैं जर्मनी आ जाऊंगा रहने। तो उसको जर्मन सॉन्ग गवाया था और मुझे नचवाया था। ये रैगिंग थी, पहले दिन की रैगिंग। नाउ इट जस्ट साउंड सो स्ट्रेंज। एनीवे, so
But
yeah, that course. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm answering your question like the whole interview is going to be the answer to this question. So it's very strange.
this is not an interview, please.
The problem
I'm No, no,
is a
no. No,
long.
no. This is not an interview. This is I wanted to have this chat with you for a very long time, and like I said, we will be like hopefully having these chats every 2 to 3 months, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about when it comes to cinema and everything else. But I'm just saying that being at FTI at that time during your academic year must have felt very fortunate that you are under the presence of people like Govind Nilani, Prakash Jha, Anurag Kashyap, Anjum Rajabali sir, and these guys.
That is true. That's true. No, it's so interesting that when I had met Anurag Kashyap Saab and he taught us dialogue writing, there was no fame around him. Yaar. It was so nice to see him in that state. I'm not saying that he behaves differently, or I'm not getting to that. I'm just saying that he was this everyday person who used to go to drop his daughter to the school bus in the morning. Conversations जो होती थी ना, उस किस्म की होती थी. So my one of my writing teachers, Ashwani Malik and Anurag Saab, were talking about they had both just had young daughters, small kids, and they were talking about these kind of things. And Black Friday had been banned, and he showed us the film at FTI, of course. So we're talking about 2004, 2003, 2004, around that time. So it was really nice to see and experience that mind in that state. Very young, there's that young energy in a human being, and there is that also innocence and that naivete,
Yeah,
uh, and that kind of enthusiasm, which is very uncolored by too much experience in
right.
some. So it was very nice. So yeah, it was nice too. Prakash and all was still older, and they were still doing well when they came. No, they were still already well known.
Right.
Anurag Saab was still setting his name up at that point.
So you always wanted to make things about like stories focused on the subject of gender and mental health, or you thought of covering something else, but then something happened and then you fixated your efforts on this particular subject.
I don't think any artist, or most artists at least, don't consciously choose okay, I'm going to write over gender and mental health. It becomes that you start telling stories, and when you look back, you realize, okay, this seems to be something that in every film of mine there is somebody either going through depression or trying to kill themselves. So yeah, hard as that sounds, yeah.
No, I mean, talk
It's
about Tikli and talk about Tota. So Tota मैंने देखी, and finally, again, I have a lot to say. So Tikli में सबसे पहले तो like when you were done with the book
right.
and when you started thinking that yes, now I have to adapt it into a film. So can you take me back to those very initial stages of making the film, because it was your very first feature film, and like you have mentioned in our previous conversations as well, that it was quite a process. So can you take me back to that time when you started making Tikli ki acha mujhe ek film banani hai ab? How did you start? How did you begin?
Uh, One of my bosses in advertising gave me a pink slip one day and told me कि you're not meant for advertising. He was saying it in a derogatory way कि तुम्हारी औकात नहीं एडवर्टाइजिंग करनी है. I thought कि हाँ तू भाई सही है, मेरी औकात इससे ज्यादा है. मैं 35 साल का था. And I think I'd left for 7 years. I'd left filmmaking completely because I was very disillusioned by the fact that you can't say what you really want to say. And uh, because when I come to FTI, तो initially I was a screenwriter, and I felt कि आप नहीं कह सकते हो कुछ भी, बहुत मुश्किल है. और तो 7 साल एडवर्टाइजिंग की थी, and somewhere I think I'd given up on the film dream. And then when my boss said, this Australian guy, uh, I named the character who gets castrated in Tikli after him. In
Okay.
I'm not going to name him again because I mean,
Sure,
he's got
sure.
others. And I like a lot of things about him as well. As you grow older, you forgive people faster.
Right.
So that's probably why, and that at that point it made me realize कि why I'm 35 now, और जिंदगी की बोट शायद चली जा रही in some sense ना, मतलब you're missing the bus. मतलब ऐसा हो गया है कि आप अभी कितनी एनर्जी होगी आप में और कितना गुर्दा होगा कि आप पूरी काया पलट करके अपनी जिंदगी वापस एक ट्रैक पे लाओगे when you walked away from it 7 years, उस किस्म का. So something made me feel कि ये लास्ट चांस है. वो उसका कोई लॉजिक नहीं है. तो 45 पे भी लोग, प्रदीप सरकार मेड हिज फर्स्ट फिल्म इन हिज 50s. बट आई फेल्ट लाइक दैट. आई थिंक दैट फीलिंग वाज वेरी स्ट्रांग कि दिस इज अ डू और डाई टाइम इन माय लाइफ. एज अ नॉवेलिस्ट हमेशा वो तो लगता था कि पीपल डोंट रीड इनफ. तो वैसे ही था कि आप किसी चीज को एक वीडियो विजुअल मीडियम में कन्वर्ट करोगे तो वो कहानी ज्यादा लोगों तक पहुंचेगी. और आप तब जब आप कुछ बना रहे हो तब तो लगता है ना कि ये कहानी बदल देगी, कुछ तो बदलेगी, कुछ तो करेगी. It's also a certain sense about youth that you feel that uh yeah, you feel आग लगा देगी कहानी, or you feel those things inside. You may not talk about it like that because even then you're intelligent enough to know that you sound stupid. But as you grow older, unfortunately, you don't even think like that. Yes, you're going to make a film, but it's going to find its place and remain there. I mean, that's just how, that's something every filmmaker goes through uh, on every film, interestingly. So that feeling made me want to make Tikli and Laxmi Bomb कि अभी ये लास्ट एक टाइम है लाइफ में जब आपके पास इतनी एनर्जी और एंथुजियाज्म होगा कि आप बिल्कुल ही करियर चेंज करके वापस कुछ शुरू करेंगे. एंड ऑल्सो आई डोंट नो, देयर वाज समथिंग अबाउट, देयर हैज बीन इन माय career till now, something about the feminine spirit which has constantly come into Shweta and my lives, which is, I don't know what to call it. Should I call it the sacred feminine in the world? Should I just call it feminine energy? What that is, I don't know. But I have been on a journey with that since I was a child, clearly, in trying to understand it, in expressing love towards it, in trying to free it of my complexes, to free it of my own fears and insecurities. But I have constantly felt that there is this relationship with feminine energy, with the sacred feminine, which has been part of my life and Shweta's life. And I almost feel like we have been blessed by it, that this story, like Tikli and Laxmi Bomb, came our way. Uh, you see, start talking differently when my nose opens up. I don't know if you're able to tell that. Like, I'm able to think more clearly. Like, asthma affects you so badly that when you're, yeah.
You're more
So
comfortable
that,
now.
yeah, now much more, definitely more comfortable. So that we had a story at Tikli and Laxmi Bomb, which was so much about sisterhood. It's like आप तो मर्द हो, आपने तो जिंदगी मर्द जैसी देखी है, लेकिन आपको ये कहानी दी जा रही है क्योंकि शायद आप में वो संवेदनशीलता है, या शायद आप में एटलीस्ट वो सर्च है, वो सीकिंग है कि आप कुछ समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हो फेमिनिन के बारे में, जो मर्द आमतौर पे समझने की कोशिश नहीं कर रहे. क्या मैं उसमें सफल हूं या नहीं, वो तो इज अप टू women एक्चुअली, नॉट इवन अप टू मी. सो टिकली एंड लक्ष्मण, जिसका थीम था सिस्टरहुड अबव ऑल, was a story that came to a man to tell, in some sense. And so then the entire effort of making that film was to kind of give it that same space of sisterhood above all. Okay, so how do we do that? मैं तो मर्द हूँ. So the producer was Shweta. Then we had, also the people coming on board who wanted to do the film, like my DOP then, the DOP then, Aditi Sharma. She wrote to me after reading novel कि अगर तुमने इस फिल्म का DOP और किसी को बनाया तो मैं तुम्हें मार दूंगी, जान से मार दूंगा, ऐसे. अब वो कहीं राइटिंग में है, बाद में उसने खुद डिनाई किया, उसने ऐसे कुछ बोला है, बट है कहीं राइटिंग में, ढूंढूंगा मैं किसी दिन. But just that kind of strong feeling for the subject. And in fact, Aditya did me a very long email or message on Facebook or somewhere about her life and how she feels very connected with Tikli and Laxmi Bomb. So she came on board, and Rachita Singh came on board as the editor. She had her own journey, you know. We did a test shoot actually, based on which I should never have been a filmmaker, because we did a test shoot जिसमें we had other actors playing Tikli and Lakshmi in the same locations, just to see कि हम सबको अपना काम आता है क्या, because हम सब पहली बार फिल्म बना रहे हैं. मैंने तो शॉर्ट फिल्म भी नहीं बनाई थी इसके पहले. वो जो टेस्ट शूट था बहुत खराब था, निहायत ही खराब था वो. अगर मैं उसके बेसिस पे जाऊं तो मुझे कभी जिंदगी में फिल्म मेकर नहीं बनना चाहिए. और बट वो हम उसके साथ बैठे और हमने पॉइंट्स बनाए, हम सब ने, डीओपी, एडिटर, मैं, श्वेता, कि हम हर एक इंसान को किन चीज़ों पे अमल करना चाहिए और किन चीज़ों को बेहतर करना चाहिए और हम कैसे करेंगे. आई डिड नॉट डील विद एक्टर्स क्लियरली, which I think over time has been my biggest strength. So I didn't know. So I went to this place called Jeff Goldberg School, which is Jeff Goldberg Studio in Bandra. It's for method acting. And I asked Jeff to let me just observe him giving feedback to actors. That's all. And he was kind enough to do that. And just in watching him give feedback to actors and in a non-judgmental way, in a what they call playable choices. क्योंकि मैं तुमको बोलूंगा अगर ये ग्लास ऐसे उठाओ जैसे कि तुम चाइल्डहुड में अब्यूज किए गए हो, कैसे करोगे? It's not a playable choice. You can only lift up a glass as if you're hungry or thirsty or in a hurry or playable choices ना, ऐसा. ये सब चीजें मैं तब समझा. तो 3 महीने में उनकी क्लास जाता था रोज और मैं सिर्फ उनको देखता था कि क्या कर रहे हैं. और बाकी फिर मैंने फिल्में देखना शुरू किया वापस, एफटीआई की जो आदत थी शॉर्ट डिवीजन के लिए. बिकॉज मैंने टिकली और लक्ष्मण को जो शॉर्ट डिवीजन इनिशियली किया था बहुत ही वो कवरेज किस्म की शॉर्ट डिवीजन थी कि आपने मास्टर कर लिया फिर आप, तो वो तरीका कि आप 2 कैमरा छोड़ दो और एक थिएटर नुमा आप कुछ करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो, ये ना, मतलब एक मास्टर फिर रीटेक उसके अंदर 100 बार, वो वाला नहीं. तो वो भी उसके बाद वो टेस्ट शूट की वजह से आई थिंक वो वॉइस आने लग गई थोड़ी. And then I saw Rohit Mittal's Auto Head, which I was really inspired by at Mami. And I came out and met him also, and I was like, man, this guy is so cool, yeah. Like his short division and Auto Head is just so out of the box. He's just not tried to be like anyone. I was really. I think he's a really solid filmmaker, and I hope he is able to find much more of a space to put his work out. So yeah, ये था. Sorry, I am again gone somewhere. You'll have to bring me back to.
That's okay. That's okay. The more elaborate your answers, the better it is for me and for everyone who wants to,
Yeah.
learn and understand what it takes. Because मैंने पहले जब हमारी बात हुई थी तब भी मैंने आपसे यही पूछा था कि आपने लोकेशंस कैसे ढूंढी हैं, बिकॉज दीज लोकेशंस फॉर अ फर्स्ट टाइम फिल्म मेकर, एंड यू मेंशन कि नहीं यार टाइम लगा था, इट टुक अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम फॉर अस टू फाइंड स्पेसिफिक लोकेशंस जहाँ पे लक्ष्मी का घर है. स्पेशली आप बता रहे थे कि वो
Yeah.
लोकेशन ढूंढने में हमें बहुत समय लग गया था.
I was just thinking, हम बस्ती में चल रहे थे तो एक तो फहमीदा खान करके थी जो उनको आपा बुलाया जाता था बस्ती में, और हसीना पारकर को भी आपा बोलते थे. आई थिंक शी हैड दैट काइंड ऑफ वाइब, मैन. जैसे वो चलते चलते ना, अभी कुछ ऐसे 16-17 साल के लड़के दारू पी रहे थे दिन में, तो दे ऑल न्यू हर, जैसे अरे आपा कैसे हो, तो शी वुड लुक एट देम, दिन में दारू पी रहे एंड शी वुड स्लैप ऑन देम. शी वाज लाइक दिस रियली हार्डकोर, a good looking 30-year-old girl, but very hardcore. And and she'd grown up there, and she had 11 brothers, and a lot of them were into gangs, and it was like that. I mean, I'm not going to say gangs, मेरे घर आ जाएगी फैमिली की, भाई तुम क्या हो. But anyway, it is what it is. She joined the youth congress at that point, to help them do rallies and all after the film. But she became our EP, and I told her कि हमारे पास ये बजट है और मुझे यहाँ शूट करना है, तो तुम मुझे कुछ लोकेशन दिखा देना और प्लीज संभाल लेना बाकी. ऐसे बोला मैंने, तो उसने संभाल लिया. अब मैं इससे ज्यादा घुसूंगा नहीं इसमें. उसने संभाल लिया
नहीं नहीं.
कैसे मुंबई में चीजें संभाली जाती हैं, वैसे उसने संभाल लिया कैसे तो. बट या वी सॉ लक्ष्मी का घर. टॉक अ लिटिल बिट अबाउट इट. was I felt कि if you are in a space where you're selling what is what for most people is one of the most sacred things, which is
Yeah.
sexuality, and you have to sell it to make a living every day in places where people are feeling that because they paid a certain amount of money, they have a certain amount of right over your body and can do whatever they want, which is actually not true, even of sex work. Which is why Tikli gets so upset with that foreigner when he tries to kiss her, because it's not part of the deal, so it's not okay. It's that simple. That kind of person, when she's coming home and she's been staying for 20 years, वो किस किस्म का घर सिलेक्ट कर रही हो बस्ती में. So I felt कि वो उसको बोलते हैं माले का घर, मतलब वो माला है वहाँ फर्स्ट फ्लोर. तो वो एक घर दिख गया जिसके पिछवाड़े से आपको पूरे फील्ड्स दिख रहे थे, बिकॉज वो आखिरी घर था बस्ती का, और उसके आगे की तरफ से भी आपको बस्ती के ऊपर से एक थोड़ा ओवरव्यू मिलता था. तो इट फेल्ट लाइक वो जो माउथफुल ऑफ स्काई करके एक सीरीज आता था ना, इट वाज लाइक दैट टर्म, जस्ट दैट फीलिंग दैट just because this house is a little higher than the rest of the slum, you get that little feeling of getting out of that fucking suffocating thing and being able to breathe for those few minutes when you sit there and have a smoke every night. That made me say, okay, this is the house for Lakshmi.
Yeah.
But it was really small, man. And so it was, and then at that point we thought we were going to, भाई मुझे कुछ आइडिया नहीं था, एक तो नेटफ्लिक्स था नहीं तब, तो हमको सबको लगता था सिनेमैटिक फिल्म होने वाली है, सब थिएटर में रिलीज होगी सबकी फिल्म, तो आप उस हिसाब से शूट कर रहे हो, तो यू हैव फकिंग बिग ह्यूज कैमरास कमिंग इन at that point, not the DSLR size cameras. And so we had two of those cameras in that house, which was really small, and then sync sound. And so all of us were barefoot. We couldn't even be barefoot. We had to all be in socks because the sound guy said barefoot will make noise, also. So you have seven of us in a room moving around with the actors behind the camera as they move around. And we were trying to do that live shoot type of thing, ना कि दो कैमरा रख दो और फिर
हाँ.
एक्टर्स करे सब. तो ये था. तो उस घर में वो मुश्किल थी, बट सबको रोना तो आया जब वो घर को छोड़ना पड़ा एंड में. 55 दिन का शूट था.
Right.
Yeah, it was still the most difficult. Still, Tikli and Laxmi was the most difficult film of my life. Easy. Of the 6 films I've made. Because it just didn't get over on me, man. I thought I'm going to die on that film. After one point. और ये फिल्में कैसे बनाते लोग हैं, तो खत्म ही नहीं होती फिल्म. चली जा रही है. 55 nights of night shoot. You're sleeping in the day. बॉम्बे में दिन में आप कितना ही सो सकते हो, 4 घंटा, 4.5 घंटा. इतना आवाज, इतना शोरगुल होता है हमेशा कि आप सो ही नहीं पाते हो. So it was crazy. It was like also sleep deprivation for 2 months. Like a cuckoo thing. Anyway, and that film got made. But also, like, again, so blessed by woman power on that film, man. That's something that I think I don't realize often enough. I realize it, but because you go about your life and you keep forgetting about it. You're constantly blessed by woman power, in some sense. ये तो है.
So Netflix मतलब बहुत टाइम बाद आया to bring your film on their platform.
A year after it got completed.
Okay.
हाँ.
मतलब तब तक अवार्ड्स वगैरह सब हो गए थे, रिकग्निशन मिल
हाँ.
चुका था, एंड देन
Yeah. And they offered a price which was lower than our cost price, honestly.
Okay.
So it was a hard one to solve at that point. Netflix के साथ भी क्या हुआ था कि वो आए थे, और जैसे एक दौर था जब उन्होंने इंडिपेंडेंट फिल्में उठा ली थी काफी पहले, एक साल में उनका जो पहला साल था, और उन्होंने इंडिपेंडेंट फिल्म मेकर्स को जैसे क्यों हैं, उनको अच्छे खासे बजट भी दिए थे फिल्म बनाने, नेटफ्लिक्स ओरिजिनल्स तब. लेकिन और कुछ लोग भी थे जिन्होंने उनके साथ काम किया था, और लोगों ने झूठ भी बोला था उनको अपने बजट के बारे में. तो व्हेन वी केम, दे वर इन अ फेज वेयर दे फेल्ट कि ये चीटी करने वाले, जो भी बोल रहे हैं वो झूठ बोल रहे हैं बजट के बारे में. आई थिंक बिकॉज आप जो भी बजट बोलते थे उसका आधा कर देते हैं या उसका 3/4 कर देते थे. मतलब अगर आप पूछ रहे हो किसी से कि ये फिल्म का बजट क्या है, फिर वो एक्स बोल रहे हैं और फिर आप उनको ऑफर हाफ एक्स दे रहे हैं, मतलब आप में ट्रस्ट इशू हो गया है तब तक एज अ प्लेटफॉर्म. That we have ourselves only to blame for that. Huh? How do you develop a trust issue? Because people have lied to you. So we ended up having to, put the film out for less than what we had made it for. So that was a really hard one initially.
I
It
think
was tough.
you traded that for the viewership that this film will receive, the kind of exposure for 4 years it will be on a platform.
Yeah, absolutely. But also we had crowdfunded it, so we felt कि ठीक है वो crowdfunding part, nobody asked for it back. So it was as if लोगों ने डोनेशन दी है इस कहानी को बनाने की, तो फिर आप उसको एक अच्छे प्लेटफॉर्म पे डाल दो, ठीक है, आप पैसे के बारे में मत सोचो, आपकी ऑलमोस्ट रिकवरी हो गई है, थोड़ा लॉस हो गया, ठीक है, वो उस क्राउड फंडिंग के क्षेत्र में थोड़ा कवर अप हो जाता है एट सम लेवल. Pretty much lost what we got in the crowdfunding at some level. ऐसा.
टोटा पटाका तो आप कह ही रहे थे कि लाइक यू वांटेड टू
That's
मेक
my
अ
only suitable film technically till now.
नहीं, आप कह रहे थे कि यू वांटेड टू मेक लाइक अ ट्रिलॉजी इन टर्म्स ऑफ सिटीज की, पहले मुंबई
Yeah.
की एक
No,
कहानी, फिर
thing.
अच्छा
Trilogy हाँ, दो फिल्म. एक बम्बई के लिए, एक आशा आशा और लता. ऐसे मैं सोच रहा था अपने दिमाग में.
ठीक है, तो दिल्ली की स्टोरी की अगर बात करें तो मैंने कल उसको देखा,
हाँ.
और it it like from the first 5 minutes itself it feels like, of course, it is a spiritual successor to Tikli,
हाँ.
but in terms of, how should I say, like, it is going to break all the societal conventions left, right, and center from the opening itself. uh like,
I'm glad,
there
man.
is there is मतलब, और एक तरह से I want to applaud you for one more thing, that this is a very efficient filmmaking in terms of cast. You actually have just 5 people, so you don't need a lot of extras. You don't need कि
Right.
अच्छा नहीं वहां पे एक बंदा चाहिए या यहाँ पे चाहिए. ठीक है, थोड़े बहुत शॉट्स के लिए आप इधर उधर, मुझे लगता है शायद आपने ऑन सेट, मतलब वहां पे जो लोग होंगे उनको ही शायद यूज कर लिया होगा, बट
हाँ.
प्राइमरी कैरेक्टर्स या फिर एक सपोर्टिंग में भी आपने ज्यादा नहीं किया. सो यू मेड इट वेरी एफिशिएंटली, एंड इट मतलब, and I'll be very honest, as a male, I found it difficult to watch that film because I have never seen such things happen. I believe it should happen with anyone who does that.
Right.
I feel the worst punishment is even not enough. Not going to reveal too much for the audience जिन्होंने
Right.
नहीं देखी है, but this film just goes over the top in terms of कि boss we are here, कि यहाँ पे जगह ही नहीं है मर्द की, चाहे दिल्ली हो, गुड़गांव हो, गाजियाबाद, फरीदाबाद, डजंट मैटर. सो
Fair.
ये चीज मुझे,
So
दिस वाज द लाइक द मोस्ट.
I do feel that not enough people have seen that film. I feel sad about that. I feel somewhere it got lost in. But maybe as I do more work, people will look back at the work.
Yes,
Yeah, that's all.
all the links will be in the description for all Aditya's films. Please do check them out. And like I was saying about Tota ki, the cab service is women, only for women, and then Uma Thurman ka reference hai why he was just, replacing the figurine itself, and then आपने
You see her
cabs का.
behind there? That's a much larger one in my house. But
Oh, nice.
I'm going to. Should I just do this in this chat?
Yeah,
Take you
yeah,
to.
yeah, please, please,
Yeah,
please.
that's all. There's
Wow.
the smaller one which was in the car. I think
Yes.
that size. I mean, the one that's in the car is in Chitrangada's house. We gave it to her after the film.
Yeah.
And then there's the large one, which is this is my hand, and that's the size. It's a very large
Wow.
figurine.
Wow. ये सब इंडिया में नहीं मिलता
And
है.
this is the yeah. There are these two turtles. Like I used to like, and there's of course Tintin and whatever which
Yeah, yeah,
continues.
yeah.
There's also a toy of Quentin Tarantino, which is inside. I haven't opened it yet. It's just still in the box for some reason. I
Wow.
don't feel like opening it.
और फिर उसमें आपने कैब्स का भी रेफरेंस दिया था कि 4 कैब्स हैं उनकी, उनका
हाँ.
एक का नाम उमा है, एक का
ये
नाम इस्मत है, जो मेरे ख्याल से इस्मत चुगताई के ऊपर आपने
हाँ.
नाम रखा है. हाँ, तो और इंदिरा, शायद आपने इंदिरा गांधी में भी. सो मैं वही कह रहा हूँ, लाइक इट इट जस्ट ब्रेक्स ऑल द कन्वेंशंस लेफ्ट, राइट, एंड सेंटर. एक चीज मैं पूछना चाहूंगा कि
हाँ.
मैं बहुत वैसा न्यूज़ वाला साउंड कर रहा हूँ, बट एक चीज मैं ये आई वांट टू नो कि व्हाट, लाइक आई हैव नोटिस दिस. मैंने अभी देवी और हीरो नहीं देखी है पूरी,
हाँ.
थोड़ा सा पार्ट मैंने देखा है, बट यू काइंड ऑफ हैव दिस प्रेफरेंस और लाइकिंग फॉर यूजिंग वॉइस मैसेजेस. आप वॉइस मैसेजेस बहुत यूज करते हो, एंड यू यूज इट व्हेन दे आर फॉर द मेजर रिवील्स, लाइक लक्ष्मी उसका वॉइस मैसेज तब सुन रही है जब व्हेन शी इज डेड, राइट, एंड विभा टोटा में तब सुन रही है जब बिल्कुल लास्ट पॉइंट पे हम पहुंच चुके हैं, एंड शी वांट्स टू रिवील कि मेरे साथ ये हुआ है, विच इज माय मोटिवेशन फॉर डूइंग दिस. एंड देवी और हीरो में मुझे नहीं पता कि कितना हो रहा है, बट अभी जितना मैंने देखा है, वॉइस मैसेजेस का एक है कि हाँ कुछ एक है. सो इज दिस
हाँ.
लाइक अ थिंग दैट यू यूज?
में तो the multiple personality, the split personalities send voice messages to each other. ऐसा.
ओके.
Going ahead.
सो एक तरह से आपने इंक्रीज कर दिया है, लाइक फ्रॉम लक्ष्मी टू दिस एंड टू दिस यू हैव लाइक, सो इज दिस अ थिंग कि आई वांट टू, कि कोई दिस इज लाइक अ मेटाफर कि नहीं टेक्नोलॉजी पे बहुत डिपेंडेंट है लोग एंड वॉइस मैसेजेस आर, आई जस्ट अ थॉट एंड
फील है यार ज्यादा वॉइस मैसेज में ना, आवाज आती है इसलिए, बस उतना ही।
बस उतना ही।
टेक्स्ट से ज्यादा फील है।
चलो अच्छा है,
उतना ही।
बिकॉज आज
एंड सिनेमा में वो टेक्स्ट स्क्रीन पे दिखाना टोटा में कर दिया एक बार, बट आई एम नॉट अ फैन ऑफ इट। वी ट्राइड इट वंस बिकॉज तब वो दौर था, बहुत ऐसे होता था। मतलब सोशल नेटवर्क के बाद कुछ साल बाद टोटा बनी थी, तो और तब तक काफी फिल्मों में, फिर मॉम मॉम में, बहुत फिल्मों में शुरू हो गया था वो। बट अब मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता वो। मुझे लगता है कि आवाज में एक फील होती है, या तो आप किसी तरीके से उसको एक विजुअल बना दो। तो टेक्स्ट इज डैम बोरिंग है ऑन अ स्क्रीन।
या
बट इट पर्सपेक्टिव, दैट्स जस्ट मी। लाइक आई वाज एट अ फिल्म फेस्टिवल वेयर आई सॉ फिल्म जहाँ पे किसी ने एक नॉवेल को अडेप्ट किया था, और पहले 10 मिनट फिल्म के नॉवेल के बनने थे। I was like, भाई अलग लेवल, तो पढ़ो बैठ के आप। I was like, यार this is in I had gone as jury member. So there, the one of the films was on a big screen. We're sitting watching a film, and 10 damn minutes, it's just pages of the book. I was like, भाई क्या हो रहा है? ठीक है।
it's like Kindle on 70 mm.
हाँ, really, it was really like that. That's it. I was like, भाई ठीक है, ठीक है, डांस है।
Yeah. But
Anyway,
how was your experience in Delhi? You found it easier or difficult, or you had your own, like कि हाँ मजा आ रहा
because it
है.
was a controlled shoot and it was in a printing press. The printing press was in Bombay because that didn't matter really.
Okay.
So the insides of the printing press were in Bombay. But again, Aditi is from Delhi, so that really helps. Like the DOP was from Delhi, and to kind of know where to shoot, how to make it look a certain way. All that was thanks to her. And I think I was just coming with the emotion, coming into everything with the emotion of it. That's about it. The technicians, a lot of the technicians were from Delhi, so that helps. Shalini Vatsa spent her whole life in Delhi. She's born in Patna, but spent her whole life in Delhi.
Right.
So in that film के final auditions, or the final, let's say, people being considered, it was Sadia and Sadia Siddiqui, who I think is a fantastic actor and is a very beautiful human being as well, and Shalini Vats. But Sadia's from Bombay, and there were just things that Shalini brought to the audition, which or what you call a scene reading, or whatever you call it, that only someone who's lived her life in Delhi as a woman would bring in. Like if she's walking into a train, then she puts her bag in, turns her bag and puts it in front. Very small things, which I would not have. Of course, I would not. I'm to not even like all the films I made. I'm not nowhere near those people. I'm not a woman, and I'm not a sex worker, and I've never lived in Delhi and all those things. So it is only if you really collaborate and get everyone is really like a voice in the film. Which is also why when some women got upset about Tota and said, this is just a man's point of view, and all the women in the film have gone and argued with those people on social media, because everyone's voice is very firmly in the film. Chitrangada's voice is in the film. Aditi Sharma's voice is in the film. Rachita Srudi Sukumaran, who was the editor, her voice is in the film.
Right.
तो ये है.
और ये दिल्ली में जब आप शूट कर रहे थे, सो लाइक यू डिड नॉट कैप्चर अ लॉट ऑफ parts in Delhi and you shot mostly in Mumbai. That's what you're saying, right?
No. Only the inside of the printing press was in Bombay. So yes, we did all the, but everything, every time you step out of the printing press anywhere, it's in Delhi.
Okay.
ऐसा
Okay.
वो तो लॉजिकल था ना. It's like the
हाँ हाँ.
filmmaking. Why will I go to shoot inside a printing press into Delhi and make people
Right.
stay in rooms for? वो तो it makes no sense. But we were
Yeah.
able to make it look quite seamless. Like even when they're having a conversation inside and they come out to talk.
Yes.
So ऐसा
Yeah.
you don't feel that way. So then in that sense it doesn't matter if the inside is in Bombay.
Right.
ऐसा. So this was just
Yeah.
practice. Like we
Okay.
shot that scene of that little chase sequence outside Jama Masjid where the
Hmm.
cop catches that guy.
Yeah.
Things like that. So that was a lot of fun because uh, we went to these hotels up there and we were shooting from there, and we told them we're shooting photographs because
Okay.
नहीं समझ में आता और कैमरा दिखता ही नहीं है. तो नीचे एक एनएसडी का एक्टर था जिस बेचारे को हमने बोला कि यू हैव टू रन, एंड तो मैंने फोन पे बोला कि ओके, आई टोल्ड हिम अब तू भाग, और फिर मैंने एक्टर को बोला अब तू भाग आफ्टर लाइक 30 seconds, एंड वी वर शूटिंग फ्रॉम अप. तो क्या है कि औरत एक पिक पॉकेट के पीछे भाग रही है, तो मर्दों का बड़ा वो आ गया कि मैं बचाऊंगा। मर्द भागने लग गए उसके पीछे, फिर उसको मारने लगे। फिर मैं नीचे भाग गया कि भाई मत मारो, वो तो एक्टर है। तब तक शॉट मिल गया था हमको। फिर एक आदमी जो सबसे तेज भागा, और मतलब माचिज्मो वाला सबसे ज्यादा उसने एक्सप्रेस किया था पब्लिकली, उसके उसको बड़ी चोट पहुंची कि भाई मेरा तो कट गया पब्लिकली, ये तो एक्टर है। तो उसने बोला अब मैं तुमको पुलिस ले जाऊंगा, ये करूँ वो करूंगा। मैंने बोला ठीक है, उसको एक्टर को छोड़ दो, मुझे ले जाओ। फिर वो मुझे अपनी स्कूटर पे लेके चले गया शॉपकीपर्स एसोसिएशन के वहाँ, उस एरिया में। फिर उन्होंने मुझे बोला, वो सब बंद बंद कर दिया, ऐसे 20 लोग, और दरवाजा बंद कर दिया मुझे अंदर लेके। तो मुझे बोला अंदर से तुम्हारी फट रही थी, ये मार वार पड़ी, पता नहीं कुछ भी हो सकता है। फिर उन्होंने बोला कि आप हमारे इलाके का नाम खराब कर रहे हो, यहाँ कुछ ऐसे पिक पॉकेट्स नहीं होते हैं, आप ऐसे दिखाओगे फिल्म में, ये वो पैसों का सीन होता है नॉर्मली ऐसे। तो मैंने बोला हाँ आप सही कह रहे हो, ये तो टेस्ट शूट था। हम 2-3 दिन बाद जब आ रहे हैं शूट करने, तो फिर आप ही हमारी मदद कर लो और हमको क्रेडिट क्रेडिट भी देंगे, और फिर जो भी एक समझौता होगा हमारे बीच। दे लाइक ये टेस्ट शूट था। मैंने बोला हाँ, मतलब ये तो रिहर्सल थी, कैमरा देखा आपने कहीं? कैमरा तो है नहीं। कैमरा तो ऊपर था, मैंने मैसेज भेज दिया था कि फक ऑफ, मतलब रन, जस्ट लीव, ऐसा। सो दे लुक्ड एट ईच अदर एंड दे रियलाइज, क्योंकि जो जब आपको पैसे ऐंठने हैं ना किसी से, यू हैव टू कैच फुटेज।
Yeah.
फुटेज हाथ में है तो आई एम फक्ड, फुटेज तो चली गई। सो दे रियलाइज कि फक देयर इज नथिंग टू कैच, ये तो आप गलत इंसान को ले आए हो, फिल्म मेकर को लेके आए हो। आई कैन गो, यू कैन डू एनीथिंग। सो देन दे लुक्ड एट ईच अदर, फेल्ट वेरी स्टूपिड, एंड दे सेड अच्छा ठीक है, ये हमारा नंबर है, जब आप शूट करोगे तो बता देना। तो हम कट लिए वहां से। ये
And you got your footage.
एंड वी गॉट this again,
Nice.
like Kashyap, who we've learned these things from. I mean, just listening to how they work. नहीं तो भाई वो स्टैंडर्ड ही तरीका होता है परमिशन लेके हो, तो भाई ऐसे तो हमारी फिल्म में तो बनती ही नहीं।
तो मतलब आपने फिर दिल्ली मेट्रो वाले सीन्स के लिए भी लाइक यू जस्ट वेंट
हाँ,
एंड
I'm not going to
ठीक.
say it, but you know what I mean.
Sure.
Like,
Sure,
shot
sure, sure.
whatever we want.
Yeah. Because I know a couple of friends who have tried making their short films and वो चले गए फोन से ही दिल्ली मेट्रो में बना रहे थे नहीं वो, और they were caught by the police and everything. So ठीक है. हो जाता है I guess.
एक तरीका करने का।
हाँ
So
बताओ बताओ.
नहीं, I'm saying वही एक तरीका होता है, you have to have
हाँ.
lookouts, and they have to be talking on the cell phone, and every time the lookout sees anyone they have to tell you, and then you have to shut shop and then
Yeah.
start minutes later. तो ये तो not today maybe जो हमारी, which I still think is my best film out of the 6, which is a film on suicide prevention, which you've
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah,
उस
of
पे
course.
उसमें भी when she has that breakdown in the middle of the main road, we had to have lookouts everywhere, because उस वक्त तक ये जो मोदी गवर्नमेंट थी, तो there is this mass fear, Islamophobia, which you can clearly call it, has become so much more that people were calling the cops and saying एक बुरखे में औरत रो रही है रास्ते के बीच में। तो क्या होता है भाई, बुरखे में नहीं होती, साड़ी में होती तो ठीक होता, समझा ही नहीं है। बट तुम्हारे दिमाग में बैठ गया ना वो, किस कम्युनिटी के लोग हैं, तो कुछ तो गड़बड़ हो रही होगी, क्यों रो रही है 2 बजे, 2 बजे रास्ते के बीच में फूट फूट के फोन पे रोज जोर जोर से रो रही है। So anyway, so the actor had to keep stopping, and we had to all run away, then come back 20 minutes later, all run away, come back 20 minutes later. We had to shoot that scene like that. And after like 13, 14 takes of her doing that breakdown like that in the middle of the road, we got it right. Which is also why our audition process is very, very extensive, because actors don't understand what they're going to have to do later. They feel, you see my films, you know, I won't know how to act. But that's not it. Like when we shoot like this, it's a very different environment. It's the real world, man. There's no stage. There's no
Yeah.
set. So you're going to have to break down on a main road, yeah, on linking road, with cars going this way and that, zooming by you, and you're going to have to really cry. There's no space. There's two cameras, one on the side, one in front of you. Where are you going to put your glycerine? You can't do any of that. So you have to be that good, yeah. You have to be able to cry and feel that emotion and allow all that to come out from inside you 18 times, and then run away from the police also. So it's a lot from to ask from the actors.
So most of this stuff is pre-planned or you have to take most of the decisions on the spot कि अच्छा ये हो रहा है अभी ये करना पड़ेगा.
It's a mix. I would say
Okay.
60-70% pre-planned, 30% improvised.
Yeah.
And it ranges from 60 to 70% planned and 30 to 40% improvised.
Hmm.
As you can see, I'm a very fidgety person. Like for me to even sit, even when I write scripts, I have to keep getting up every 5 minutes here. I'm just not able to sit in one place for too long.
That's okay. It happens with me as well. Sometimes if I'm writing something and if I have to describe something that I feel and I have to put down it into words, and when I get it, तो मैं उठ के चलने लगता हूँ घर में कि अरे मिल गया. So that happens. I was
यही है.
thinking I should ask you which are your like favorite films of all time, but then I thought मैं आपका letterbox देख ही रहा था and
हाँ.
वो 4 फिल्म्स के बारे में I would love to know your thoughts. Marriage Story, Before Sunset, Private Life and Interstellar. And you can start with anyone.
There's been a sea change in my life in at 2 points. One is when I met Shweta, who's my partner, and I started to really calm down. I remember writing so many poems about her, which were about being in the middle of fire and being ablaze, and then cold water is thrown on you, and you start calming down. That's how it felt when I met Shweta, really. And then Anuradha, who is a daughter to both of us now, emotionally. She was my first AD, and she started seeing us like that, and we also started seeing her in that light as a child over time. कभी कभी मुझे लगता है आपकी जहाँ सबसे ज्यादा क्रूरता निकलती है वहां आपका बच्चा वाला सीन शुरू हो जाता है बिकॉज your parents have also, it's like my dad would have spoken to me a certain way.
Yep.
And then when someone works for you as an AD, you start expecting things from them like that. They become an extension of your psyche and spirit. And then, I think in my initial years during Tikli and Tottaa, I would have been the rudest to Anuradha, really. Of course, it's something I used to. After a point, I started going to my therapist and saying, "Listen, I don't want to be like this with this girl. She's a really beautiful human being, and I have to stop being like this. I have to stop talking like that." And I knew exactly where it's coming from. It's a cycle, This kind of conversation and talking to people is cyclical. It comes from somebody else to you, and from you to it moves on, and then it's up to you to stop it. Otherwise, it goes on into the world ahead. So I think I would say that by the end of the second film, I had stopped for the most talking badly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think Anuradha coming in again was a major change, and not today. And a lot of the films that have come out are parent-child films. Why I'm saying this is because Private Life and Interstellar are parent-child films, and that's why they're on that list as well. When I'd seen Interstellar for the first time, because I had recently come out of FTII, and we used to see everything from a screenplay point of view. So at that point, I was like, which still holds true logically. If you take this guy who's shown as almost like a loser. He's sitting on his porch doing nothing. From an American point of view, that's as much of an idea of a loser. No? In his 30s, he was sitting on a porch and having beer in the daytime. While the world is going to shit.
Yeah.
You're a loser. Then this guy who doesn't seem like he has any, he's making drones out of nothing. So he has some scientific mind. Fair. He randomly finds the most secret facility in the world right now. Wow. And what do they do at that facility? They make him the pilot of saving the world. I was like, अगर ये मैं लिखूं अपने स्क्रिप्ट में और मैं किसी प्रोड्यूसर के पास जाऊं, रॉनी स्क्रू वाला के पास, तो बोले तुझे क्या सिखा है FTI में? ये क्या है? ऐसा है, correct? But after that, where the film goes, so I think I was so thrown by that when I was only a screenwriter that the film didn't work for me. I was like, bullshit, ये नहीं हो सकता, ये कैसी स्क्रिप्ट है? It's only after feeling paternal myself when I've seen the film again last year that it's imagine man, a film that I thought was a crap film has become in my top 4 films like that. That's the power of rewatching films, and how when you rewatch a film at a different point in your life, even you feel differently for it. So yeah, when I saw it again, I was just like man, yeah, क्या बात करूं यार, मतलब इंटरस्टेलर के बात क्या कर सकता हूं मैं, बात ही नहीं कर सकते आप. जादू है वो भाई, ऐसा है, उसको नमन है, ऐसा है.
Right. And about like Private Life and Before Sunset.
Private Life again, interestingly, is about that couple, no? And like for me, Private Life, the best parts of Private Life are when they have that young girl staying with them, and they're trying to do the surrogacy thing. But there is that parent-child bond that develops between that couple and that young girl. I think that, of course, it's closer to home for me because Anuradha is not technically my child, but she sees us that way, like godparents. I mean, if you were Christians, it would be a very simple thing for everyone to understand. It's like a pair of godparents. And अगर हम गाँव में या छोटे कस्बे में होते तब भी सबको समझ में आता. शहर वाले लोगों को ये सब चीजें समझ में नहीं आती, बिकॉज शहर में हम बहुत डिस्कनेक्टेड हो जाते हैं रिश्तों के हिसाब से, विच इज सैड बट ट्रू। ऐसा मतलब गांव में तो एक औरत को 3 बच्चे होते हैं, उसकी बहन को नहीं औरत दे देती है मतलब बहुत सिंपल फंडा है,
Right.
टेजी नहीं ऐसा। एनीवे, सो या, सो
Yeah.
दैट्स व्हाई प्राइवेट लाइफ एंड इंटरस्टेलर आर देयर। एंड वो 4 फिल्में डालना बहुत मुश्किल है, बट बिफोर बिफोर सनसेट, व्हिच इज द सेकंड वन, has this whole nostalgic thing about it, because both of them are so affected by what happened years ago. And the tagline of that was, what if you had another chance at the one you let go, ऐसा कुछ तो था। And I feel so many times I've come close to fucking up the fact that Shweta is the best thing that can ever happen to me ever in the future. It's like 20 Oscars, it's like that, or has ever happened to me. Shweta is that best thing. So I've come very, very close to fucking it up. Obviously, men are just stupid. As I've, over the last 24 years that we've been together. And I think before sunset just makes me realize that you can fuck it up and you can lose it. And, those two lost that at some level.
Yeah.
And then they found it again. So that tagline of, what if you had another chance at the, ऐसा कुछ तो था उसका tagline. So I think that, and that film, of the 3 films, all of them are my favorites, but that just really speaks to me. That whole feeling of that second meeting of theirs, and people talking to each other is a thing for me, man. Like Linklater is one of my gods, cinematic gods. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If you see, you'll see the new film. मैं actor नहीं हूँ, whenever, and you'll see Not Today, and you'll see my film, hopefully at some point, which is Grand Sugar Daddy, which is about the sugar daddy industry in Singapore. They're all very very conversational films. In fact, Devi Aur Hero is also conversational because it's a therapist, and a large part of it is conversations between a therapist and the patient.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's all coming from Linklater, man. Because I realized it. क्या तुम इतना कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हो, इतना बड़ा ये क्रिएट करते हो, आपको ब्रह्मांड बचाना है। ब्रह्मांड को छोड़ो यार, खुद को, बस खुद के अंदर जाओ, तो वो इंटरपर्सनल स्पेस में आप 5,000 कहानियां कह सकते हो, जस्ट इन दैट मच।
Yeah.
एनीवे,
Yeah. Sorry. No, actually, like you mentioned that men have the tendency of fucking things
being
up.
very,
So, huh?
of being very stupid.
Yeah. So I recently had a breakup after 8 years of relationship, and yeah, I used to believe that maybe it's all my fault because I'm being too ambitious. Maybe वो होता है ना कि you're not
Hmm.
able to balance things out between what you love and whom you love. So, uh, sorry, I got a little taken aback by that.
No, absolutely. I mean,
S-
everyone's still going through it, yeah. All of us. It's an everyday struggle, honestly. It's not something आप उस पे विजयी प्राप्त नहीं कर सकते। वो रोज की, वो जोसेफ कैम्बल की किताब में एक लाइन है, heroes are champions of things becoming, not of things become. मतलब anything that you have been a champion of and it's over, it's over. Then today, what you're again in that same. That's just how it is. So being in a relationship and marriage is an everyday thing, really. So I'm glad that you're introspecting on it, and hopefully whatever you take from it moves ahead. But
yeah,
everyone's dealing, right, from our cinematic heroes in Bombay to us, to people who are starting off. Everybody is dealing with the same.
yeah. आप बता रहे थे आपने रंगीला और डीडीएलजे सबसे ज्यादा देखी है थिएटर्स में।
हाँ, ये हो सकता है, क्योंकि जब मैं थिएटर में, जस्ट 27 बार रंगीला और 32 बार डीडीएलजे। और वो क्या हुआ था, गेटी गैलेक्सी में, पहले गेटी में रंगीला आई थी 1995 में, और उसके 1 या 2 हफ्ते बाद डीडीएलजे रिलीज हुई थी, क्योंकि किसी को पता ही था नहीं दोनों फिल्में साली ऐसे आने वाली, तो सबको लगा था जैसा है वैसा है। तो रंगीला रिलीज हुई थी, और पहले गेटी जो सबसे बड़ा थिएटर था, गेटी गैलेक्सी वाज द फर्स्ट मल्टीप्लेक्स ऑफ, आई थिंक, इंडिया, और
ओके।
एटलीस्ट बॉम्बे फॉर श्योर।
ओके।
इट वाज 7 थिएटर्स इन वन कंपाउंड, इन वन बिल्डिंग। लिटरली एक बिल्डिंग क्रिएट की है, उसमें 7 थिएटर क्रिएट कर दिए। स्टेयर्स वैसे आप जा रहे हो, G7 मल्टीप्लेक्स बोलते हैं उसको। सो एनीवे, तो पहले डीडीएलजे जो सबसे बड़ा थिएटर था उसमें रंगीला थी पहले, और फिर डीडीएलजे आई, तो फिर डीडीएलजे की इतनी फैन फॉलोइंग हो गई कि रंगीला को थोड़ा सेकंड लार्जेस्ट थिएटर में शिफ्ट कर दिया गया। तो मैं 9th स्टैंडर्ड में था आई थिंक, तो मैं ऐसे ऑल्टरनेट करता था, और पता नहीं मुझे मुझे पैसे कहाँ से मिले थे, चुराए थे क्या क्या, तो मुझे याद नहीं यार, मुझे लगता है चुराए भी होंगे कभी कभी घर से, बिकॉज वो ब्लैक में टिकट खरीदनी पड़ती थी, बिकॉज खरीदने का तो चांस ही नहीं था, वो चांस ही नहीं था वो। ऐसे नहीं कि लाइन में खड़े हो गए मिल जाएगी, मिलती ही नहीं थी वो, बिकॉज वो अंदर से ब्लैक की सेटिंग होती थी ना तभी, मतलब वो पहले से बिक जाते थे, आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते उसको। तो
Right.
मुझे याद है कोई खाला खड़ी है, अंदर से टिकट आती थी, पता नहीं एक रोल में टिकट आ रही थी, बहुत अजीब था वो।
But
क्या
27 times, 27
हाँ,
and
टाइम्स रंगीला। I was an absolute fan of Amir Khan, that film, man. I was just a fucking fan. And Urmila Matondkar also, man, I thought like there was more sexuality on that screen than I've seen in any film till then. And the High Rama song though was for somebody who's in the 9th standard, that was like the awakening of sexuality in life, man. It was like, what the fuck is this? It was crazy. It was
yeah,
crazy. Like going to a theater, cinema hall and feeling that sexual, towards anyone on screen, I think it never happened before that, man.
yeah.
Just never happened.
I was so I have been working in the field of tech journalism for like 5 years or so, and I in my last to last company I got the chance to listen to this same song Hi Rama, but in high resolution Sennheiser headphones, जिसमें बकायदा आपको you get the best quality and everything. So that when it started playing, और ये पता नहीं मुझे टर्मिनोलॉजी नहीं पता, बट ये कौन से ईयरफोन्स होते हैं जिनके वायर बहुत डिफरेंट होते हैं, वो कॉपर वाले हो पता नहीं क्या. सो आई वाज लिसनिंग थ्रू दैट एंड आई वाज ब्लोन अवे विद द कॉम्पोजिशन. क्या डिटेलिंग है मतलब इतनी. एंड यू हैव
भाई,
एक्सपीरियंस्ड इट विजुअली, मतलब इन अ थिएटर सेटिंग.
अरे भाई अलग ही था भाई, मुझे तो आई रियली यूज्ड टू थिंक कि ये फैमिली ऑडियंस बैठी नहीं होती ना, तो पता नहीं क्या हो जाता उधर, इट वुड हैव बिकम वेरी वेरी ऑड, because even people who were coming with their families, men were, you could just see it in the eyes, they had lost it, man. मतलब वो सब अंदर घुस चुके थे स्क्रीन के, in the head, ऐसा था,
Yeah,
it was a experience. And also so tastefully done, like in that sense, like because till then everything used to end up being very vulgar if you were making it that sexual. I thought it was the first film where I felt that they were able to do it. Of course, it was a very, very predominantly male gaze, no doubt about that. But it's not necessarily that male gaze is vulgar. So it was a non-vulgar male gaze, which was extremely sensual and sexual. That's what I felt at that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was just checking a post where it said किलर में जो सीन है जब वो स्कूटर से जा रहा होता है,
हाँ,
जब उसका पहला वो हो गया मिस, दैट्स
हाँ,
कंप्लीटली सीजीआई, दैट्स नॉट रियल.
हाँ, वो पैंडेमिक के टाइम पे वो सब किया था, तो आई थिंक दे हैड नो ऑप्शन.
बट लाइक यू कैन
इट्स
नॉट
सो
नोट.
परफेक्ट, कैन मेक ऑडियो, जस्ट
एग्जैक्टली.
परफेक्ट. वो भाई टेक्नीशियन अलग लेवल का टेक्नीशियन.
या. डू यू हैव लाइक, एज अ फिल्म मेकर, डू यू फील a little more how should I say, respectful towards makers who do stuff in real without CGI, like Nolan versus someone like a Marvel director, या फिर कोई भी एक डायरेक्टर जो सीजीआई का पे काम करता है, जेम्स कैमरन, आई थिंक दैट्स द बेस्ट एग्जांपल, क्योंकि एवटार पूरी सीजीआई है.
नहीं, मुझे ऐसा कुछ नहीं, दे वो रियली गुड ग्रेट फिल्म्स है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. I prefer one over the other, but I don't. I'm able to respect and love both equally based on how well they're done. Yes, sir. It's like
Right.
there's a shot in Tota when they're picking him up from the road and putting him in the car, where I think, fuck, it's so badly done. So I could have, had someone done that in CG better, would have been okay. It was very difficult for them to lift him up, man. That's just what it was. क्या करेंगे अब वो? अब मैं क्या
Right.
करूँ? मुझे दिमाग में था 4 औरतें उठा लेंगी. Practically नहीं हो रहा था वो तब. I didn't know how to solve it. So sometimes the reality is done badly, and then that sucks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you still prefer going to theaters in like while even living in Germany, because I can sense a good affliction towards theaters.
Uh, no, both, yeah. I really like seeing films at home as well. And the Deutsche Film Museum is 10 minutes walking from my house. So there are films like I just saw Fuck, man. Age. I start forgetting names of films I saw 5 days ago. Which was Villeneuve's first college film. Yeah, it was something with P. I'm forgetting name.
Okay. I
Anyway,
don't.
I saw a film of his. So they did a retrospective of Villeneuve's films. So they showed Arrival and they showed these few earlier films of his college time. Okay? And they showed Incendies.
Right.
So I like going to the theater. I like seeing films at home as well.
पता है
Both.
यही फायदा है बाहर रहने का. They have so many reruns in
हाँ, ये
four
मेन
4K restorations and all that. यहाँ पे
ये
यहाँ पे
मेन
तो
चीज है.
20 कुछ होता ही चलती है, पर वो भी चलो ठीक है, उसकी अपनी एक अलग प्लेस है. बट क्लासिक्स लाइक दिस, देयर वाज अ टाइम, अभी कुछ आया था कि लाइक देवानंद की सारी फिल्म्स दोबारा से आई थी.
वो और भी करते जाएंगे. बच्चन साहब की भी सब फिल्मों का वापस वो आया था
हाँ.
रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव.
यस, आई होप इट कंटिन्यूज. आई होप इट
आई
कंटिन्यूज.
होप
इट्स अ
सो
ग्रेट.
मैन.
या. As a creative professional, is there any investment that you have made which you feel that it's absolutely worth the price? And it can be any kind of investment. It can be technological or just a logistical investment,
We
anything.
bought cameras and gimbals now.
Okay.
Uh, yeah. In the last film, during the last film, we bought some cameras and gimbals because renting them in Germany would be very expensive. So that was a nice thing to do. It was the first time that we had the budget. Of course, this is the biggest budget film also because we've shot simultaneously across two countries at the same time. I don't think it's ever been done technically. So your action and cut is across two countries at the same time every day for 36 days. Each time you do it. So you have a crew there, a crew here, and I'm seeing it on two iPads to see both frames simultaneously. So that, yeah, we bought cameras. So first time we bought equipment. That has been new. Um,
Which ones did you buy, if I may ask?
A7S threes
Okay.
and gimbals. So we bought two or three A7S threes and gimbals. And so that, other than that, I'm thinking speakers. Yeah, I've just ordered for these Klipsch uh,
Clips.
RP51s. See, I am like that a bit mid school. No, like I have to have Bluetooth. So that limits my speaker choices a lot. Like I really wanted to get these Wharfdale Lintons, but they're then you need an amplifier and you need, it's like the old school thing which I've never been able to do because I'm just very Bluetooth oriented. I have to be able to lie down in bed and play a song. Like it's a thing.
Yeah.
Or just loaf around anywhere. I don't have to go to the unit every time I want to change a song. That doesn't work in my head.
Yeah.
So my everything gets very limited. So I just ordered these because Amazon ka Black Friday sale chal raha hai. So I just ordered these clip speakers. Or I have these Presonus speakers now here, but they're very basic.
You
Yeah.
never thought of like choosing music as a full-time career?
I had at one point, and then cinema came along, and I'm glad. Log bach gaye. But I wrote some songs and kind of said some things. So
Right.
ऐसा.
How do you keep yourself intact when you are, constantly met with failures or setbacks or just obstacles?
Stepping out of cinema, I think it's very healthy to be able to step out of it. And reading, like if you notice in my house, you won't see DVDs.
Yeah.
So all books. It's just a thing here. I think that really helps because I think there is this tendency to make cinema an addiction. I think it's very scary. Yeah, to keep it between uh, an infatuation and love, like to push it more towards love and less an infatuation. I think is something that you have to be conscious of. That's all.
So like cinema should not become an escape. That's what you're saying.
No, it should not become an infatuation.
Okay.
Matlab, and but that's my view. No, like an infatuation is torrid, it's stormy all the time. It's always like you keeping you like a volatile atom. And Shweta and me are my idea of love. It's calm, it's chill, it's secure, like that. So I think uh, one has to consciously be aware of when cinema is becoming an infatuation and calm it the fuck down, and then let it stay in a territory of love.
Yeah.
Where, yeah, that's all. that's just something you'll understand as you keep introspecting on, your behavior. That's why I'm not, after sun for 1.5 years. ठीक है ना, मतलब ऐसा है. It's like that.
Okay.
So that choosing to see a film and अंदर से वो क्या impulse आ रहा है? Is it because I'm feeling left out? नहीं, मैं नहीं देखूंगा फिर. ऐसा है. Sometimes you react to FOMO, but if you always keep reacting to FOMO, it's going to become full infatuation, like an addiction. That's the problem.
And
ऐसा.
then you lose the feel of that medium, as in,
हाँ. Then it suffers from everything that an infatuation suffers from.
right?
And it can't be long term.
Yeah.
And it takes over everything else then in your life. That's how infatuations work, no?
Mm.
You want so much of that person that everything else goes. That I don't want. I want cinema to be in its own place in my life and have its place just as my partner has, my daughter has, my mom, dad have, my uh, daughter's life has, my Shweta's mom has. Like that mix. Reading has, traveling has. वो mix चाहिए मुझे.
Right.
100%. इट्स ऑल्सो कल्चरल यार. इंडिया में हर चीज वो ऐसी हो जाती है ऑब्सेसिव टाइप, बिकॉज आपको उससे पैसे बनाने हैं, आपको ब्रांड बनाना है, तो हम वी आर वायर्ड लाइक दैट. और एकांत है ही नहीं, कुछ शांति नहीं बम्बई जैसे शहर में. तो सब ने सब कम सो रहे हैं, सब स्लीप डिप्राइव्ड है, सब कैफीन 10 बार दिन में कैफीन पी सब ऐसे. इट्स लाइक मास ADHD एज अ सिटी. So
Okay.
there it's very difficult to form love with an art form. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Yes. And Disciple explores that really well.
Yes.
Everything I'm saying now, Disciple has explored as a film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you mention, I go back to my experience of viewing it, and sometimes you feel like, why can't the character do this to make things right? But then when you see the journey and you feel कि नहीं यार, this, I think this is the best choice. अभी अभी जैसे हम in your post you were talking about how like naming the films that also explore other relationships of child and parent. So I revisited Udan, and like today I
Yeah.
made a
Very nice.
post on, yeah, I made a post on it, and it should come out tomorrow. We are recording this on 26th November, so it should come out
Yeah.
on 27th. And you are one of the reasons, so I'm grateful. Thank you.
Man, I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad.
Because I wanted to do it this way, because you'll see my fascination with how I've done it. And I was just wondering that, like, I'm sure when you create art there is always an emotional motivation behind creating art, right? So can anger become a motivation for creating art?
Of course, absolutely. Absolutely, man. I think अनुराग साहब की कितनी फिल्मों में वो मोटिवेशन रहा होगा. Anger can be. Makes complete sense. I think a film like Mozart was created because of a certain Amadeus, sorry, was created out of a certain emotion.
Right.
So like that anger can also be. I think which is that film with fuck the film about drumming, yeah.
Whiplash.
Huh?
Whiplash.
No. After that, there was a film about this guy who go in the first 10 minutes he goes deaf.
Sound of अरे यार क्या बोल रहा हूँ.
Sound of
नहीं नहीं
Sound of
नहीं.
Metal.
हाँ, साउंड ऑफ मेटल. यस यस
हाँ
यस.
हाँ हाँ.
हाँ, वो
So
मुझे साउंड ऑफ
that
म्यूजिक याद आ रहा था,
comes
वो तो अलग
comes
पिक्चर है.
out of no, comes out of anger, for example.
हाँ, मतलब sometimes you have to channelize that anger as well, in so that it doesn't go to, in a completely how should I say, ferocious direction.
Like the first half of The Wrestler comes out of anger that has become like stale wine. It's not a fresh anger. ऐसा ये भी है.
Right. So far, like, is there a belief, like, what is that belief which has been your biggest learning and that has shaped you in a better way?
That kindness is what we need more than anything else. So yeah, that for sure. Definitely need. There was this quote by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. So many castes, so many creeds, so many beliefs, so many roads that twist and turn. Yet one kind act is all this world needs. ऐसा कुछ तो किस्म का quote था, which I feel is true. Yeah, Fuck your religion, fuck your belief, fuck your cinema, fuck your art, fuck everything if you can't be a kind person. Really. Like, none of it means anything. Actually, all of it should be in service of, in general, trying to be kind. And of course, we are schizophrenic as a race. Our species itself is schizophrenic, meaning I eat chicken and I eat red meat. I'm a red meat fanatic. And
Okay.
then I'm talking about kindness. So it is that inner journey of being aware and over time overcoming. Like Shweta doesn't. So she is genuinely kind person. No,
Right.
I'm a fake kind person. But again, it's not fake. I'm being self-deprecating.
Yeah.
We are schizophrenic, except that we are, a saint 1 second, a demon the next second, a saint the third second, and so on and so forth. But be aware of it more and more, and work at it slowly, 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 and see where that journey is going. But
Yeah.
kindness is, I find, extremely, like, that's the biggest turn on for me also in human beings. The rest is okay. I see a fantastic filmmaker who's not very kind, especially to his own loved ones. I'm like, okay, okay, yeah.
And anything that you feel, of course, I'm sure इसका answer बहुत elaborate होगा, which is great, but like something in particular which you feel should change in Indian cinema right now.
I really hope platforms start taking more independent films back again, man. That's all. That's not good. It was that one first year of Netflix coming, 2 years was great, and then, for example, Netflix, Amazon, everyone. I just keep putting it onto Netflix. It's everyone's shared responsibility. Yeah, I feel if you have 200 crores to buy Jawan, 100 crores to buy Jawan as a platform, can you and many other films, big films now every
Hmm.
year, can you not keep 6 crores every year for indie films, 10 crores every year for indie films? आपको आपके फिल्म मेकर आपको कहाँ से मिले? रिची मेहता कहाँ से आया? डेली क्राइम कहाँ से आया?
Netflix.
अनुराग कश्यप कहाँ से आया? नीरज गिवन कहाँ से आया? विक्रम मोटवानी कहाँ से आया? तुमको ये डायरेक्टर्स कहाँ से मिले? क्योंकि इंडी फिल्म्स बनी थी ना। तो तुम अपने ही सिंचन के लिए, आगे के सिंचन के लिए, क्या तुम अपने आप को एक 2 साल के प्लेटफॉर्म जैसे देख रहे हो? तुमको 20 साल का करियर चाहिए ना इंडिया में एज अ प्लेटफॉर्म। इतना तो सिंचन करो कि 10 करोड़ आप हर साल रख दो इंडी फिल्म लेने के लिए। वहीं से तो आपको ये फिल्म मेकर्स मिलेंगे, वहीं से तो आपको ये कहानियां मिलेंगी। आपके हर जो मेन शोज है, जो बड़े ब्रेक थ्रू शोज आए हैं, इंडी फिल्म मेकर्स थे। बट आपको सिंचन नहीं करना है 10 करोड़ जितना भी, बस 200 करोड़ जवान या 100 करोड़ के लिए जवान को खरीदोगे। मुझे बहुत प्रॉब्लमेटिक लगता है। देर इज नो सोइंग दैट ग्राउंड विथ समथिंग टू गेट एनीथिंग लेटर। इट्स अ वेरी स्ट्रेंज वे टू सी आर्ट।
Yeah. So I know ऐसा होता नहीं होगा, but do you like uh, despise or just refuse to watch, let's say, 70% of the commercial cinema?
नहीं, रिफ्यूज टू एनीथिंग दैट्स माइंडलेस एंड बैड आई डोंट वॉच। सो अक्षय कुमार की
हाँ,
पिछली 20-25 फिल्में मैंने नहीं देखी होंगी आराम से।
20। अच्छा।
20-25 फिल्में नहीं देखी होंगी अक्षय कुमार की। नमस्ते लंदन देखी थी जिसमें एक कहानी थी, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इमोशंस थे ऐसे, बट नहीं देखी है। सलमान खान की बहुत सारी फिल्में नहीं देखी ऑफ लेट, बट जो व्हेन ही वाज यंगर एंड यूज्ड टू एक्चुअली डू फिल्म्स विद कैरेक्टर्स एंड ही यूज्ड टू एक्ट, आई यूज्ड टू रियली लाइक सीइंग देम। ऐसा है।
तो
तो
अभी रिसेंट।
कमर्शियल दिक्कत नहीं है, खराब स्क्रिप्ट से मुझे बहुत दिक्कत होती है, जिसमें कोई स्क्रिप्ट ही नहीं है। कुछ कुछ दबंग मुझे मैंने देखी, अभी उसका, आपको उसका पॉलिटिकल व्यू, उसका एक सेक्सिज्म वाला पर्सपेक्टिव, उसका एक मेल पर्सपेक्टिव, जो भी वो है। जैसे कबीर सिंह भी एज अ फिल्म वर्क्स फॉर मी, इट्स लाइक दैट। So I'm there to see a film that is engaging, makes me feel something emotionally. Then yes, there is the politics of it, there is the gaze of it, which you may analyze it and you may have a perspective on it. That's great.
या
ऐसा ये है।
I was having a chat with this critic. His name is Ram Venkat Shrikar, and he mostly reviews Telugu films. And अभी आपने I'm sure सुना ही होगा कि Telugu films is a lot of people are pointing out with the sexism issues in Telugu films. Like women characters, female characters are not treated with dignity and respect. So he also mentioned that this is something that is now getting highlighted a lot, and people are working on it. People are
Hmm.
now trying to reduce it as much as they can. So I mean, yeah, let's let's hope for the best, I guess. That's what I
हाँ
can say.
हाँ यही है।
Yeah. And what have your films taught you as a creator, as an audience, as a creator?
I don't know, man. It's a very difficult thing. I just know that it has to constantly be an extension of your voice at that point in the world, and what is top of mind for you emotionally. Like feminism at this point is not top of mind for me. It still exists in my psyche. Yeah, human dynamics, parent-child relationships at this point are top of mind. That will go on till it expresses itself, and then it will move on to something else. ऐसा है. So, like the next film I'm doing is also a father-daughter film, and Not Today is also a father-daughter film. So वो
Yeah.
थोड़ा चल रहा है. There's another film which I want to do, which is set on a train from Delhi to Amritsar, which is a parent-child film. It's a mother-daughter and father-son kind of setup in that same film. So it's called हमारे तुम्हारे बीच. It's also about divorce. So that's something I want to do. So ये चल रहा है आजकल. तो जब तक ये चलेगा I'll continue. 20 फिल्में होंगी, ये 20 फिल्में कर लूँगा. So I don't want to consciously, I want there to be a instinctive, क्या आ रहा है अंदर से उसको आने दो और उस पर फिल्म बनाओ. हाँ, उसको कंट्रोल मत करो. ऐसा. बाकी आप और किसी के लिए कुछ काम कर लो कमर्शियली, वो अलग बात है. ये
Yeah. The very last question that I have, and इसके बाद of course, मतलब
man.
after I stop the recording, I can like we can continue talking. जैसे how well, I don't know how to frame this question, but I feel that even if you are a hardcore artist, you should focus on money to a certain extent. So how have you defined that balance of money and pursuing art?
I do my screenwriting to make a living here and there.
Okay.
I may not even allow my name to come
Okay.
over there. And I used to do advertising freelance in Singapore to make a living. Right through my last 7 years, I've done that. So that's how and I keep my life quite simple. I don't have a car. I still don't own a car. Uh, so then, when you come to Bombay, then, like how it works is that anyone working at a certain level, then they have a car, then they have to have a driver. So you're spending 45,000 a month just on that fucking, it's stupid. When there are Ubers and everything. Because वो एक perspective ना कि सक्सेस का एक नजरिया है ऐसा. सो ये सब चीजें कम करके मेरी रोज की जिंदगी के खर्चे जनरली कम है. अब क्या हो जाता है कि मैं 43 का हूँ, मुझे जो लोग ज्यादातर मिलते हैं, मेरे एडीज जो मेरे साथ काम करते हैं, जिनको मैं मिलता हूँ, वो 22, 20, 23, 24, 25 वो जोन है. So invariably you end up paying for lunch, dinner, plays. That's where I spend money. बाकी मेरी जिंदगी काफी सस्ती है. I don't have big expenses. So that really helps. Keeping your lifestyle down, yeah. Very, 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 very. In fact, I want to talk about that someday. That your lifestyle is like the most scary thing. You let that go up, then you can never bring it down.
So you should continue pursuing excellence in your art, but
That will keep us
that
and don't
excellence
up
should
it.
not interfere.
If you up it too much, most people are not able to come down. एक इंसान ने एक बार मर्सिडीज खरीद लिया, ऐसा जोन कर लिया, तो तुम देखो ना तुम्हारे सामने कितने लोग जानते हो जो एक बार एक मर्सिडीज चलाते थे, फिर अभी ऑल्टो चला रहे हो, स्ट्रेस नहीं होता उससे. होता है ना, क्योंकि ये दैट्स हाउ द माइंड इज. तो ऊपर मत जाओ. लाइक टिल आई रिमेंबर टिल 2-3 years ago इन बॉम्बे पैंडेमिक के पहले कल्कि यूज्ड टू स्टिल ड्राइव अ स्विफ्ट, व्हिच इज अमेजिंग. तो ये बहुत कम लोग कर पाते हैं ऐसा.